But this article is called "The Making of the Perfect Celebrity Apology," and so Vice is interviewing this girl who's like a PR person that does all the apologies. And it's so funny because the way they're talking about it, it's like, you know, you want to pretend that you care, but not actually care too much. And you like, she's talking about it. And then Vice, it's like the two of these people working together is like the you know, the Federal Reserve and like the chairman of like Goldman Sachs being like, what's your process? What's your process? Like they're working together.
Yeah.
So Vice, they're like, this quite the racket they've got. It's like Vice puts them on blast.
It's a bit of an ecosystem.
Yeah, it's almost like the publicists. They get these clients, and then they're paying off the blogs like, yo, we need a hit piece.
Yeah.
I just got Clooney. If you could dig up some dirt on Clooney, and then Clooney calls his publicist, like, they're coming for me, and he goes, oh, we're going to have to work overtime. It's like a...
Yeah.
What kind of circle jerk is this?
A bit of a racket.
Like, if you are a publicist, you shouldn't be interviewing with Vice. You should be like, they're the enemy.
Yeah, totally.
But the fact that they're in cahoots.
You know what the problem is?
This is like a conspiracy.
We're giving all of these people so much credit as like these are these full-time gigs when in fact these are all like side hustles for every one of these people. You know, and so we're like, what do you do? And they're like, yeah, I do. I don't have a lot of stuff
I will say though,
on.
these big publicity firms these are full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Like these are publicity firms that represent big celebrities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
They make lots of money, and especially isn't it interesting to think that there's an entire industry that is making lots of money off celebrity apologies? From an incentive standpoint, not great.
Yeah. I'm looking at her Twitter right now, by the way. She doesn't mention Vice, so I think maybe she's not with them anymore.
This is her coup de grace. But she doesn't say anything that crazy. She's interviewing the person on her process. So she interviews the canceller on her process.
Yeah.
Then she interviews the apology team on their process.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a whole cottage industry.
Yeah. She should maybe link the two.
Well, it seems like they are.
Yeah.
And so I was going to do a sketch on like the guy who makes the Hollywood apologies and put them all together and whatever, right? And she says the stuff that I'm like, I would have said this stuff verbatim in my sketch as a joke. Saying I'm sorry has become its own art form in Hollywood. And for better or worse, it takes a team to make it happen. Well, you would want people to think that.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest names in the business break down how the biggest name in apology.
In the apologies business.
That fucking crazy.
We brought in an expert from Hallmark who writes cards for a living. Imagine.
Yeah. The guy who writes the apology Hallmark cards is like a hot.
Yeah. He's like that's the ultimate job for the. I crank out about 20 different ideas a day.
He says they're gonna break down how the sausage gets made of the apology. So it's like. So or you know what the other thing is, you think this apology person would be kind of like a secretive business.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, yeah, it's fucking complete bullshit. Like we get a team together, they're not even, and you're just like, why are you telling us this? Like, shouldn't you at least pretend?
Yeah, you go, yeah, we just copy and paste kind of mostly.
Yeah. Shouldn't you at least pretend that a team didn't write their apology?
Yeah, I know.
You're like, yeah, we just wrote Clooney's apology the other day. And you're like, Clooney's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Clooney's like, kind of takes a little of the the apology away from when people know that I meticulously crafted it and spent fucking 50
and I was
grand
on a
a
boat
team.
when you were meticulously crafting it.
That's true.
It's crazy. So they go, sometimes it's an affair, sometimes it's working with Woody Allen, sometimes it's benefiting from a system that condones misogyny and racism.
Oh, I hate misogyny and racism.
But worse is benefiting. But always... apologizing for the affair is always nuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're just like, it sucks, but like, you should say sorry to your wife and that's your own business. But like,
I know, the public apology.
Why am I saying sorry to you?
Yeah, to the public. I go, hey, public, I had an affair. I'm sorry.
Like, imagine you were married with kids and you got caught cheating and it was like a whole fucking debacle. Like, yeah, your life would be a mess. But if you came to me and you're like, dude, I'm so sorry. I go, what are you saying sorry to me for?
Yeah, you're like, what do I care?
Let alone... like, I guess the only time I get it is if you present yourself as like Mr. Family Values.
Sure.
And then there's been like a bait and switch. Like if you're a pastor, like a mega pastor,
Yeah, mega
that gets caught
pastor.
cheating, you're like, I'm sorry because I was lying.
Yeah. Well, no, they have the ultimate because they have all these like little with the Lord stuff. So it could be, oh, the Lord I slipped up and he was testing me and I failed the test, but I'm back.
You can always.
They have all the things.
Yeah, you can always fucking figure out how
You
to
know what would
get
be the
down
best
with
fucking
Lord.
apology for someone cheating would be if John Legend got busted for cheating and his letter was like, you guys all know why I did this, okay? Just fucking get off my back.
You've seen what she's
Yeah,
up
you
to.
guys know why I did this.
Oh,
Come on.
Yeah, you don't cheat.
Yeah.
Let's see you try not to
Because
cheat.
I'm John Legend, my fucking wife's dumb bitch Chrissy Teigen.
Yeah. Oh, what? Oh, okay. Well, how about you don't cheat then?
Yeah.
So
Everybody be like, yeah, we get it, man.
So sometimes, can you imagine though being a hiring a publicist team, and you're like, we need to apologize. You go, what are we apologizing for? Benefiting from a system that condones misogyny and racism.
That's like even if
broadly.
you that's like if you don't have a scandal. That's just like if you just have guilt, just
Yeah.
general white. Like me and you could just straight up be like, call them up right now. And go, we need to issue an apology.
Yeah, can we do an apology
What
for the
happened?
Boys,
You know,
guys?
just
We've been benefiting from the system that
from the
condones misogyny.
for our whole lives,
For
like
our
30,
whole lives, really.
30 plus years. So if you could really get the team on it, if we get the A team together on this,
Yeah. Don't hold back. Cancel your schedule.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Ryan. Cancel your schedule.
Go. How much of a retainer do you need? They're like, I don't know, 10,000. And like, I'm sending 20. Do this right.
Yeah, do not mess this up. So they say writing out a celebrity's story has become a cottage industry. How do you craft a statement that needs to be read as authentic and not focus grouped and driven by buzzwords? But they're like, how do you craft a statement that needs to read as authentic? You know, they already
Do it yourself?
They're already implicitly accepting that. Like, I mean, obviously it's not going to be authentic.
Yeah.
You know, what are we?
Yeah. And also, it's like, obviously, nobody who's sorry is actually sorry. They're just sorry that they got caught. So, you know, you got to navigate that whole thing.
What if the
But it's understood when you read it, like, you know, like when you're reading Mike Richards' apology, you're like, he does not think or believe any of this stuff. Like you read the apology and the apology was enough for him to keep his executive producer job, at least at first. But you're like, you don't think this at all. It's obvious. You're like,
no, duh.
yeah, that's what I'm saying when they're like, oh, like nobody who's in the public, like the people who are mad at him are even more dubious of the apology. The people who want him fired are like, they think there's nothing to his apology. Whereas me and you are like, maybe something, but he was forced. But like, they don't even accept the people you're apologizing to won't accept it at all.
Yeah, I know.
They only accept you just being like, oh, I'm going to kill myself. And they go, thank you.
Kevin Spacey, probably the best apology. I'm gay.
Yeah. He goes, okay.
He started because the old school.
That's
apology
actually my
was,
apology.
I'm a sex addict.
That's my apology with my girl. Anytime I do anything bad, I just go, I'm sorry. I'm gay.
I'm gay.
She goes, you fucking left the coffee pot on and it's all ruined. I go, I'm sorry. I'm gay.
You ate the pies again. I'm gay. Oh, I'm sorry that I'm gay. So yeah, you're right. No, there's no one. They don't want to listen to the apology.
No.
What if Mike Richards said this was his apology? He came out and he said very somberly, he goes, I would like to address everyone that I've hurt. Misogyny, boobies. I'm sorry. Look at these. And then he pulls down a girl's shirt and he goes, not sorry. He goes, you remember when in that old
Oh yeah.
Misogyny. I'm sorry. Boobies. Look at these. And pulls down the girl's shirt. And he goes, I quit. Fuck you. How do you express contrition but not culpability? Whom do you pay to pen a statement that minimizes damage instead of magnifying the mistake? And what happens when your client skips all that, goes rogue, and fires off their own quick message of regret, or worse, doesn't think they did anything wrong at all?
Yeah.
And it was like, in the apology game, there's nothing worse than if they didn't think they did anything wrong. It's like, well, yeah, the internet's never wrong. I would never, if I had to like ever work with someone on an apology, which I don't know, hopefully I've never like fucking living like that.
Yeah.
But I would want the publicist that like we can, okay, but like we can level that this is all bullshit, right? Like the publicist that has to believe
it's like
it.
a fucking, if you commit a murder, it's like OJ's lawyers. It's not, they're like,
Yeah.
well, you're innocent, OJ. Wink. Like it's, you
No,
know.
but this girl, her sort of energy is like, she's like, and obviously they are this girl, the working in the apology industry,
Yeah.
she believes the apologies are necessary.
So you know what I would do? I would remember in the fucking South Park where Carmen says, suck my balls. And then Mr. Garrison's like, present them. whatever.
Present them.
Present them. No, what I would do is if I had to do an apology, I just go on Twitter and I'd post my own address. I'd be like, see you guys later.
Dox
Dox myself. I go, all right, we reached the end of it. Here's my address. I'll see everybody tonight.
Yeah. And this is the part that was wild for me. She goes, I don't like to wait until it blows up. I don't like to wait until it's a mandatory apology because the whole world knows. I've debated this with teams. If you're going to apologize later, why not apologize now? And it was like, oh, so the pay me to write your apology person like thinks like you should be apologizing all the time.
Literally have us on retainer. Yeah, just crank out a monthly apology.
She goes, I debate this all the time with like clients and teams. Why don't we just apologize before it even happened? Yeah. And it was like, you think that, do you?
I keep saying,
how much is it going to cost me? 10 grand.
I keep seeing on the list of apologies, it says like LA based publicist, but then I think of like based publicist where it's like they're literally their apology is just like, fuck those queers.
I want to apologize.
That is a based publicist.
Yeah.
Is he New York based? No, he's just based.
I'd like to apologize for Israel putting me in this position.
Whoa, that's a based publicist.
Based publicist.
Yeah. Based.
Can I? And then they go, can I just reply to the one person on Twitter who called me out? My response is always, no, if you've upset one person, there's definitely more who are upset. They might not be tweeting you, but there's definitely more. So it's like, she goes, she's telling clients, if one person on Twitter is mad at them about something, they should already be apologizing.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Right. But what I'm saying is these apology people probably have a whole branch that's on Twitter being they're working with Vice. This is my conspiracy.
Yeah,
they're working with all the BuzzFeeds and the Vices, the Seth Simons of the world. Then those people find the things, right? Then they take that, start a fake Twitter account, like, normal guy who used to like you.
Yeah.
And they post, hey, what's this thing you said in 1901? You know what I mean? And then they go and then they go back to their client. They're like, I think we should apologize now. They force them to do an apology. Then they call up BuzzFeed and they go, we're going to need another article. BuzzFeed writes the article. They go back to the client now for the real apology. They just got paid 3 times.
Oh, yeah. Not to mention that for Vice or BuzzFeed or whatever, they regularly have articles where the headline is, the internet is fuming over this. And then the internet in this scenario is one Twitter account. But it's one anonymous Twitter account.
They can create their own
That's what I'm saying. You got this flywheel.
It's the perfect scam.
I know.
All you need is a sucker celebrity. So that's why you have to stay away from these people, because the apology person's like, hey, you want to talk about apologies? You need to be like, no, I would never apologize for anything ever.
Yeah.
And then they can't use their thing on you where they're scheming. And she goes, sometimes there's lots of drafts. The ones I've done have probably had at least 10 drafts in a 48-hour span. So they're doing, anytime you see a celebrity do anything, they have 10 drafts minimum.
Except for Shane.
Yeah. Exactly.
Shane was
he did what she didn't want.
Yeah.
She goes, sometimes they just do a knee-jerk post themselves.
Shane said they gave him, NBC gave him the boilerplate apology.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm not doing that. And then he just did his own. He had 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's what she says she doesn't like them to do. But there you go. We have to always do the drafts because they probably let the client do the first one, and they come back, they go, I wouldn't put the N-word in your apology.
Considering it's the thing that got you in trouble here, I'd probably leave it out, even though you're just referencing you saying it. But
I just want to say that I'm sorry to these broads, and let's not do that one. Andrew Weisscliff. It takes a while to get in the place where the statement is straightforward, authentic, and impactful it needs to be. So they're admitting we need a team of people to get it authentic. And they said these are really painful, hard days on the job, especially when you know that they've grown as a person.
Oh, that's the worst. Is writing an authentic apology for someone who can't do it for themselves, especially when you know they've grown as a person. Like, that must be so hard because you're like, I know you've grown. You just can't write an apology authentically yourself because you're not authentically yourself because you've been acting your whole life.
So they're literally, she goes, it's painful, hard days. They have a fucking, a panic. What do they call it? A crisis room.
Yeah.
They're all yelling at each other. She's smoking.
War room.
She thinks she's Hunter S. Thompson.
Oh no, Seagal just took a
Seagal
spill.
lost his guns. See, we got chain smoking cigarettes. I've got it. I've finally done it.
What do you think the Steven Seagal School of Crisis Management would be?
Hi-ya!
It would literally be like, hey, Steven, I said something bad on the internet and all these people are mad. He goes, we'll break their necks.
Tell her I want them to come over to my house and I'll apologize. Meet me in the garage. Tell them to meet me in the parking garage for my personal
Just
apology.
fucking snapping everybody's necks.
Hi-ya!
They're like just waiting for him. He just sneaks up from behind them.
Yeah,
Snaps
meet
them
me.
How many do you think there's a tally somewhere? How many times has Steven Seagal snapped someone's neck like this in a movie?
Mostly.
Like how many? Over 100 in all the movies he's ever done?
More.
More. The movie was sick if he just did it all. Like, you know how like the cereals or whatever, like Captain Crunch, and they do only Crunch Berries?
Yeah.
What about a Steven Seagal movie where it's only neck snapping? It's just one after another of just snap necks.
Compilation. Neck snaps.
But it's not a compilation.
We're cutting out the fat.
It's not a compilation.
Yeah.
It is its own movie, but just him snapping necks.
Snapdragon.
Yeah, snap. Oh, here we
Probably
go.
call that.
Yep. Love it. And
then her final thing, she's like, I know that a lot of reps will, the idea of if these people on Twitter stop talking about it, it'll be gone. And what she says is, no, what'll actually happen is they're all just waiting in the fringes. And the next time you have something big happen, it'll hit you even harder. So she thinks that, she's out there with her fake Twitter accounts. And she's like, you should always apologize when 3 people on Twitter yell at you. And it was like, no, the answer is, I guess, like, never have a job ever.
Well, no, the real answer is, look, if you get a job working for a corporation when you previously did not,
delete everything you've ever done on the internet.
Like especially a public corporation, a public company, delete all your podcasts. There's no benefit.
Delete your
to it.
podcast, delete your Twitter, delete your
everything. Just delete everything.
Yeah, it really is. Delete everything you've ever done.
If you have this cushy
Erase your
job
life.
where you're like, I'm an executive producer, whatever, there's no reason for you to keep your podcasts up.
And then when people ask you anything, they go, you turn into Steven Seagal where they go, hey, didn't you used to do a podcast? You go, I told you never to ask about my past.
Yeah, exactly.
What's done is done. I'm not that guy anymore. And then that guy's erased.
Neck snap.